Slovakia is on the verge of gifting its fleet of MiG-29 fighters to Ukraine, giving Kyiv an injection of familiar combat jets it has been clamoring for since Russia's all-out invasion began 5 months ago to the day. Yaroslav Nad, Slovakia's defense minister, said on July 25 that the small former Soviet republic is primed to discuss transferring its 11 MiG-29s to Ukraine. The jets are set to be grounded by the end of August, after which Slovakia's skies will be patrolled by neighboring Czech and Polish jets. Ukrainian pilots already fly the MiG-29, and so there would be little additional training needed to put Slovakia's jets to immediate use. President Volodymyr Zelensky has pleaded with Western supporters to provide fighter aircraft, but NATO members, led by the US, have thus far come up short, although they have donated parts that have helped put grounded Ukrainian fighters back in the air. The small Eastern European nation does not have the resources to go it alone in gifting the MiGs and will need allies to offer replacement fighters or cash in exchange for providing Kyiv with its aircraft, Nad said according to Sky News. Each of the aircraft is worth about $35 million, Nad was quoted as saying, although that is an absurdly high price for those aircraft. Slovakia's potential donation brings Ukraine one step closer to refreshing its fighter fleet, which has taken a beating in 5 months of fighting, as have the pilots flying them. Kyiv's hope of receiving 28 MiG-29s from Poland was much publicized before the plan collapsed after the US said it wasn't interested in being the middleman for the deal. Such concerns have likely lessened now that numerous countries are sending advanced guided munitions and other weapons that Russia has condemned as offensive. Much ink has been spilled over the possibility that the US Air Force could donate the A-10 Warthogs it so badly wants to divest. The tank killer aircraft was designed to provide close air support and anti-armor capability in exactly the sort of open-field European war currently being waged by Russian forces in eastern Ukraine, although its potential performance against the modern air defenses that Russia is fielding near the front lines is highly debatable. Still, senior USAF leaders left the door open for A-10 transfers to Ukraine just last week, but those aircraft also would still require time-consuming pilot and maintenance training. While Kyiv continues to call for fighter donations, several ground combat systems already promised by Europe and the US began to show up in Ukraine over the weekend. The war also entered its 6th month today, but before we get to the details, readers can catch up on our past rolling coverage here. The latest fighting continues in both the Donbass and Kherson regions of East and South Ukraine, though little has been gained by either side, according to the latest assessment of the war from the UK Ministry of Defence. Russian commanders continue to face a dilemma: whether to resource the offensive in the east or to bolster the defense in the west, the UK MOD said. More than 140 days into the war, Russian forces are struggling with high casualty rates and the attrition of its combat vehicle fleet, the UK assessment found. As many as 300 vehicles, including main battle tanks, armored personnel carriers, and wheeled support vehicles were recently found at a refit and repair shop 10 kilometers inside Russia. Russia likely continues to struggle to extract and repair the thousands of combat vehicles which have been damaged in action in Ukraine, the MOD said. Ukraine is by all accounts continuing to hold its own. The Ukrainian Ministry of Defense posted an inspirational message on social media to mark the occasion, highlighting Ukraine's resilience, bravery and strength, and 5 months of Russia's failure, hatred, and terrorism. The Institute for the Study of War think tank said on July 23 that it is likely Ukrainian forces are planning a counterattack in the southern Ukraine region of Kherson. As of late July, there are about 38,000 Ukrainian women, 5,000 of whom are frontline soldiers, serving in the army, Ukraine's defense ministry said. Casualty numbers are hotly contested on both sides of the conflict. There is some evidence that Ukrainian officials are planning for hostilities to last a good while yet. Authorities in Kharkiv, for instance, have launched a program to build bomb shelters near city bus stops where residents can shelter